All right, so in this video, I want to go through some of the top herbal supplements for men, as well as share some really important general principles and guiding principles that I've come to really understand after more than a decade in this industry, and after pretty much taking all of these things in varying amounts over the course of that decade and working with people on a one-to-one basis and recommending many of these supplements. So I'm going to talk about Nettle, Cordyceps, Gynostemma, pine pollen, and future plans for a product that I'm working on and how that relates to the general principles. So basically, the general principles, the usual approach that people take is they generally want more stimulation. They want something that's like Viagra or like coffee, where it's like a pretty noticeable, potent, like boom. So that would be herbs like yohimbe or tongkat ali or things of that nature, which are very aggressive, very overheating. And I don't think that's really the best option over the long term, because that can basically just be depleting to the body. And you might get a short-term benefit, but actually in the long term, you're just kind of depleting your savings account. So for me, what I'm trying to work on is, or what I am working on right now, and we'll be releasing at some point, is an herbal formula that can treat some of the underlying causes and conditions for men's health issues, but without being overstimulating, overheating, or depleting. Because it's a really important thing, and I just see a lot of people kind of go off in that direction. So one of the best herbs for men, one herb that I sell quite a lot of and I think is quite useful, is nettle root extract. So again, if you're watching this video and you want to learn more about any of these things, click the link below, hyperionherbs.com. Have a lot more information and interesting things about these herbs and how to use them. So nettle root, it's kind of three primary modes of action or things that it's famous for. The first is people use it a lot to treat BPH, or basically like swelling of the prostate, which causes, urinary issues and sexual dysfunctions. And then also its ability to increase free testosterone. And lastly, its ability to basically improve overall prostate health. So some of the mechanisms is, one of them is its ability to regulate DHT, which DHT is something that is a useful hormone. It's a very necessary androgen, but a lot of people think that the root cause of prostate swelling or even hair loss is the DHT is going to those places instead of other places where it might be more useful as their androgen. So if you start reading about nettle online, this will come up. People will talk about its relationship with hair loss and its relationship with overall prostate health. And I can say from a lot of my clients, I've heard positive results in these arenas. And I think as an overall way to increase testosterone, focusing on free is a bit more important, because what a lot of people will generally do is, like I said before, go the stimulating route or go things that just kind of ramp them up. But again, that causes problems over the long term. When in reality, if we can have something that focused on letting us get more out of what we already have in a way that's not overstimulating, that's actually a bit more nourishing, that kind of makes more sense for the long term. So that's why nettle is pretty unique and amazing, because it can actually help us get more out of the testosterone that we actually already have. And I should say, all of these things that I'm talking about work pretty strongly. There was a time, probably like 2011, 2012 or something, where I was using many of these things pretty regularly and went and had a hormone panel done, and basically the doctor was quite confused because he was convinced I was on steroids because my androgen levels were at such a place. But then he looked at me and he was like confused because I was very skinny. So very much can work and can have an effect. So the next thing, Cordyceps, another herb that is famous for increasing performance in all areas of life, but it's something that's a lot more nutritive. It's not overstimulating, it's not overheating. And it can actually help improve blood oxygenation, blood circulation, cardiovascular function, immune function, respiratory function, and generally help us have more blood, oxygen, and thus more energy, which is obviously a great thing. And it's also famous historically for being an aphrodisiac and for being kind of a sexual / athletic tonic. Another herb that I want to mention is Gynostemma. This is something that tastes really good, really easy to use. You can just brew it like a tea, super simple. It's also pretty economical as well. And really why I mention it here is for its cardiovascular benefits, its benefits for helping to regulate blood sugar, and its benefits for helping to regulate blood pressure. Now, obviously, I'm not making any medical claims or medical advice in any of this video. I'm just sharing some of my experience because I've had many clients who have taken these things and reported back to me specific benefits to varying degrees. So not only that, but there's a lot of research and a lot of things that you can find on your own to support these things. But obviously cardiovascular health, blood sugar, and blood pressure are pretty important things, because if those things tend to go out of whack, our energy levels will go down, our ability to have sex will go down, our abilities across our general life vitality will decrease. Because I think it's a mistake to isolate sexuality or performance from the rest of our life, when in reality I think it is all connected, because it's one person, it's one life, it's the same life. The last thing I'll mention is pine pollen tincture and pine pollen powder. Now, for people who actually have legitimate androgen deficiencies, which they've discovered through actual testing and through working with an actual professional, and I only say that because over the years I've gotten so many questions and talked to so many young men that are like 20. And they're like, oh, I'm dosing pine pollen. It's like, dude, I don't think you necessarily need more testosterone or androgens. Oh, but I read online that I do. Probably not. I mean, have you had it tested? Have you worked with someone and they decided, yeah, actually you're androgen deficient? Or might it be better if we do want to go that route, do something that actually helps you get more from what you already have, or something that can help get the xenoestrogens out of the body, because that's another part of this, is that we can have estrogens from the environment through plastics or various pollutants, or through our food, that build up in the body and act as hormone disruptors. So we get more estrogenic, actually. So just blasting ourselves open with more stimulation isn't really that effective, when perhaps it could be better to use things like diindole methane or trimethylglycine or MSM to basically start to get some of those estrogens out of the body, and then that can actually have an effect. So pine pollen powder and tincture. Pine pollen is one of the most androgenic things going, because it actually contains bioavailable androgens from the plant world. And then the tincture would have those in a much stronger way. It'll have a much more hormonal action, because you'll absorb through the alcohol right through the mucous membranes in the mouth. The powder will have those effects, but slightly less, and will be a bit more nutritive because it's going through the GI tract. So the androgens and stuff won't be as available, but the nutrients and the other things from the powder will be more available. So I'd pretty much only recommend that as a last resort for someone who actually legit needs more testosterone in a verifiable way. Or I guess if you're some type of crazy athlete and you basically just want legal steroids, because it's pretty much what it is. It's just bioavailable androgens. So anyways, so another thing I'm working on is basically an herbal formula that will be nutritive and can help fill in deficiencies over the long term to really support overall health and underlying vitality. So anyways, hopefully this has been helpful. I just kind of wanted to talk through and share a couple general points and recommend Nettle, Cordyceps, Gynostemma, And again, if you want to check out and learn more about these, link below, hyperionherbs.com. Yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you soon.